go.
3, 2, 1. Bonus episode this week. We've got Vince in the house, and we have traded Adam for a first round pick and compensational draft picks in future drafts for Vince's mom. So that's exciting.
Welcome.
How's it feel to be here?
Very good, thank you.
Perfect. Love it. So yeah, Vince's mom Kim's in town, and thought what a better chance than to get her to kind of tell us a little bit about Vince and what he was like growing up, since we all know Vince how he is now.
Yep.
So, Kim, what was Vince like as a kid?
Vince was a handful as a child.
Wait, let's go back to when I was born. Because I was, what? How late was I?
He was 2 weeks late.
Yeah, so see,
And
I was stubborn
9
from the
pounds.
beginning.
There you go, 9 pounds.
Yeah, I was a big boy.
Yeah, you Jack then, Jack now.
He's a good boy,
Yeah.
but a handful. First child, so he tested his mama a lot, and that led into the junior high years and the senior high. So yeah, this is a good boy.
What did Vince want to do, like, when he was growing up? What did you think Vince was going to be doing?
He never really did sports.
Mhm.
He kind of followed me when I was in the restaurants, so I kind of figured that's where it would lead him to.
Mhm.
Never going to do anything with school. That was not in his future. He had not going to get into college. Books was not his thing.
So he wasn't going to be reading 8 books a month?
No. Amazing enough, no.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Love that. So, so the restaurant industry, kind of where you saw the path, and then what are some of the harder moments for you? You remember being like, this guy is stubborn. Like, my son doesn't get it growing up.
It really started when Vince was about 14 when my dad died. And that was really hard.
No. I was 8 when Grandpa died.
So 8. So you didn't even get 6 more years.
Yeah.
And Grandpa was a very big influence on Vince.
Still is. My mom every day.
Love it.
It was very hard for him.
Mhm.
So go into about 14, 15, I got a divorce, and Vince became very difficult for his mother. So if I said black, he said nope, white. So
yeah.
So I guess we haven't touched on that. What was that 8 years old? Like, how'd that play a role in your decisions?
It was tough. Grandpa, like she said, he taught me how to fish, and so summers at Grandma and Grandpa's was outside doing all that. Still have memories of laying on the living room floor, eating popcorn, watching MASH. I mean, that's just what we did. In the winters, sledding, sitting by the wood stove. Like, we say Grandpa's still with us. And there's times where you'll smell like a furnace or a wood stove burning. Like, I don't know, it was January or February, I was walking down the bike path, and I walked that bike path every single night. And one night I smelled a wood stove. I immediately texted her, hey, Grandpa's with me on my walk tonight, because I've never smelled it in the hundreds of times I've walked down that path. So yeah, we always say, like, he's always around. So yeah, it was tough, because I was 8, Miranda was 6, and Ashley was no.
She was 3.
Was
It
she?
was her 3rd birthday one.
Yeah, but she's it was tough. So me being the older of the 3 and trying to console my little sisters and whatnot, and still not quite understanding it myself, because it was sudden. He was out hunting, and my uncle found him leaning up against a tree. So it was tough.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. So then, as you kind of grew up in that, like, was that kind of when, not necessarily the rebellion, but maybe just like, I'm going to do the things Vince wants to do?
I don't remember being that rebellious then. I do remember after the divorce, that's when I cranked it to 11 and did my own thing.
So prior to the divorce, your mom talked. I saw her eyes when she said 8. So what was 8? What was 8 years old? You know, that those heading into middle school years.
He was an 8-year-old on steroids.
Yo, you're on steroids.
Yeah. He always had a mind of his own,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, when my father passed away, Vince didn't show any emotions. He was the big brother.
Yeah.
He did try to protect everybody, and he never really let loose of, "Hey, Grandpa's gone," and it was hard.
Yeah.
And I think that did carry over into.
I still
The
struggle.
rest of
I
them.
still struggle with it. I still struggle with letting stuff out and bottling it all up and holding on to it a lot longer than I should. And,
Well, I think that's a good thing to talk about because somewhere you got to release that grief or that emotion and that pain that you're holding. So you're 8 and that happens. So for you keeping it together, where were the places of like release growing up?
played a lot of sports, like with friends.
Yeah.
Just out on the basketball court more than anything. Playing football on the street, stuff like that. It was just.
So staying busy,
Yeah.
like any 8-year-old, 12-year-old can do. So then you're 14 and your parents get divorced. So you bottle that up too. So now you're in high school almost. Are you a freshman?
No.
Sophomore?
I was at
8th grade?
8th grade.
Yeah.
No, when did we move back here? We moved back here in 7th grade. You guys, it was 8th grade because you guys were in 96, which would have been my freshman year.
Okay, so that makes sense timeline-wise. So now that all goes down to 8th grade. Now you start to experience a little more freedom. So now what's the release of all this anger and frustration and
same thing. Just playing sports with friends and yeah.
So what was Vince like at home through those times when he wasn't out away?
It depended on what was going on. If I had to push, if there was a battle, but we ended up coming to an agreement. When I got married to Stan, it was much easier because him and Stan clicked a little bit, and he had that father figure back in his life.
Because like I said in the previous episode, the bio dad talked a big game about how he did all this, and I remember going and watching him play softball and all that stuff. But when it came time for that time with me, sitting on his chair watching whatever was the priority.
It's good. I mean, I think that's a good thing to point out. Like, you can be bio dad and talk a big game, but you gotta raise a son.
Yeah.
And so you get to speak to that now to your kids. What were some of the things you saw in Vince at a younger age that made you think, like, or maybe you never thought, like, man, he could be doing the things he's doing now and the impact he's having?
When my dad died, Vince was angry, upset, and he always carried that edge. And even up until 2 years ago, he was angry. And I never thought he would be doing what he's doing with you guys right now. Never. Because he was very hard-headed, my way or no way, and that's just the way it has to be. And totally different guy today.
That's good. What shifted that for you? Do you agree? I mean, do you feel like you're angry?
There's still times where I'm bullheaded and I want it my way, but I come to realize now that my way is not always the right way. So, it goes back to this program. I mean, it's a total mindset change. Like, I've said it before. I've heard about it before I did it and thought, why in the hell would anybody want to go out and walk in the rain like I did last night?
Right.
And what's that going to do for me? It's not going to teach me anything. Well, you do it for 75 days and you'll be surprised at what kind of trigger you'll switch in your head. And yeah, that was it.
I like it. So how much did Vince kind of talk to you when he starting to do these programs, like these 75 hard or like going on the walks and reading books?
Vince and I would talk, so let's go back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Vince has already talked about it before when he got the DUI.
Yeah, let's dive into that. How's that for Mama?
That was the hardest phone call I've ever gotten at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because you weren't here. There was nothing that you could do to help me.
I couldn't put my hand on it.
You were 16 hours away, and
and then I will say that I always expected that phone call because I knew he was drinking, and my fear was he had hurt someone or hurt himself in a car accident.
Yeah.
But after he had that accident, the DUI, we talk more, and then it got even more intensified when you guys started this program because he would tell me what he's doing and how he's doing, and we text. And I told you yesterday that even the family's getting involved because wanting to participate. And we are probably better now than we were in the past 10 years.
Man, that speaks to, I think, what we're trying to get people to realize. Like, there's a lot of components to a family, and a lot of important components. Moms being one of the main ones, but then also, the males and the father figures in that family dynamic. And so when Vince, you decided to kind of go on this journey of like self-improvement and discipline and dedication, like you see how that has impacted not yourself and not just your household, but then your extended family. And so, Kim, for you, like, what changes have you seen over the last 2 years in Vince outside of getting to talk to him more?
Just the interaction he has with his family, be that Austin, the other Colt, Peyton, myself, his discipline in, no, Mom, I'm not going to eat that chocolate cake that you baked. Okay.
I'll eat it.
But just his whole more self-confidence. I think that sometimes played into it because of, as he calls it, the bio dad. Never really gave him that support. Stan gives him the support, but he has more self-confidence in himself. He'll text me, oh, look what I did at work. And some of it goes back to when we were in the restaurants. He learned how to do something in the restaurants, but now it's playing into the position that he's in.
Nice. So
he is, we are much better, and he is better for this program.
That's awesome. Would you say he was confident growing up?
No.
No? That's a quick answer. So it can build confidence. I think it speaks to that. Like,
well, it's hard.
Yeah.
And when you're doing hard things, you build that confidence. Go into the gym, and when you do 225 for the first time, all right, now I can do this. And then you try the next one. Okay, so you failed it, but you still have that one, and you can still build on it. And look what we do weekly in there, challenging each other, building our confidence up in ourselves, and building confidence up with people in the gym that they feel more comfortable coming in and being in the environment. So yeah,
that's good.
Vince was in high school into ROTC,
Yep.
and if everything didn't go just perfect, duck and cover, because the temper would bubble to the top bad.
Yeah.
So, and I think that had a lot to do with his confidence. He wanted to tell everybody that he was the best and he could do it, but if it didn't go just perfect, then that's not the way he wanted it to be.
Yeah, learning to adapt, and I think what like we call it a program and we call it disciplines and doing things, but really it's just trying to seek the ability to learn to adapt to things, learn to be disciplined, learn to say yes to this and no to that, and balance and all the things that we want to have. But I think for Vince's story, like the coolest thing getting to talk to his mom and hear about him as a kid is like your story isn't, you know, everybody, you know, we have these moments growing up of anger and lack of self confidence, and I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't what you have to live in because you were what? Well, how old were you 2 years ago?
40.
40. So it took you till 40 to figure it out, but now there's the next chapter, the next 40, 50 years.
The next half, as Adam calls it.
The next half. Quarter. Oh wait, that doesn't work. That math doesn't math. But yeah, like to begin to, it doesn't matter if you know got teenagers or you're 40 or 45 or 50. Like these are skills that can be developed, and I think you attest to that. I think your mom has talked, you know, hearing her talk even more because I only know you from that period. You know, so.
No, and it teaches you how to deal with that self-confidence and whatnot, how to deal with those shortcomings. And, you know, we've talked about it again. You're having a rough day at work and it just seems like everything's on your shoulders. And in the past, I would have either crumbled or blown up. And now it's just like, okay, like it's just a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a, you know, one of my favorite things is when we sat in a meeting and it's not a bad day. You just had bad moments in that day.
Yeah.
Let them go. And then start over tomorrow. And it's a good day. When you wake up, it's a great day.
Well, you're smiling, Kim. What do you think?
No, he's so different. He is so different. I sit and listen to him and shake my head and go.
She used to have, through high school, yelling from the top of the stairs, make sure I was awake at 6 to go to practice. And now my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock.
Nice.
And there's not a day that I sleep till 7 anymore.
Right.
So it's.
Or read a book.
Yeah.
Get your homework done.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you're doing homework every day. You're 40.
Yeah.
You're probably doing more homework.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's funny. So I guess kind of build off of that, you spoke kind of how it's impacted your family. What have you seen, like, how has him changing and trying to improve himself impacted those around you and your family?
Things that he talks to us about, we now talk about. That we may never have said.
Mm-hmm.
In one of your episodes, you said, if you passed away today, what 3 things would you want? And our whole family that night was texting one another and why and what would you really want? And he's a person that we all want to be around now.
That's the best. That is the best compliment you could ever get. That's awesome. Someone you want to be around.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Well, I want to be around you too. So, but that's great. I love it. So, any other thoughts, Kim, you want to share about Vince or about your family, anything like that?
I would share with everyone that's listening.
Mm-hmm.
What a great program this is.
Mm.
I feel like listening to the podcast, I know you and Adam. I'm learning to know who you guys are, and I appreciate what it's done for Vince.
Mm.
And I hope, I told you, I worked in a high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I see so many young kids that need the positive reinforcement or energy that you guys provide. And I can only hope that what you're doing here will help others like it has my boy.
Yeah.
I love it, and I think that this story is a testament to, like, it doesn't have to be bio dad in a kid's life to have impact and to, you know, to build confidence and to create change and teach disciplines and all those things too. It can be a great stepdad. It can be a person that a kid finds and looks up to as father figures. It can be a podcast.
Be a coach.
It can be a coach, absolutely.
Because I can tell you, mine started more a little bit with the Sergeant Flores in high school, ROTC. Like, again, he was the first one that really saw something in me. So that's what got me to there, and still had my issues, but there was still something. And then Stan came in and just made it even better. So it not to sound cheesy, but it completed what I was looking for and what I really needed at that time.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Kim, for sitting down with
Thank
us.
you.
I feel like we got a little more insight. I feel like I got a little more snapshot into what Vince was like growing up. I found out I don't want to tick him off. Yeah, don't want to make him mad. But maybe he'll
Not
just
bad now.
he can process it now. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's good. So, awesome. Well, thanks very much, and hope you guys enjoyed the bonus episode. How'd it feel being in the studio?
A little unnerving, but okay, we're fine.
We're just forcing people to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's what we love to do.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll be back next week with episode 16. Peace.
Hello.